hitting people badly. So these are some of the broad things that we should be looking at when the fund says that it is seeking to restore macroeconomic stability and front-loading fiscal consolidation that will help improve our financial situation as a country, Winston.
I'll get back to you, George, later because I know that you've been looking at our program and you've talked about things that we have to do. We'll discuss those things in detail. But let me get, Professor Boking's initial, thoughts on this program. Professor Boking, so there you go. We have it. Finally, we've been having conversations. We've looked forward to this day, and that day has finally come. What do you make of the program? And briefly, what do you think it means for us?
Okay, thank you very much, Vincent. Good morning to our terrorist listeners. Yes, finally, we are here. And as you rightly said, the last 6 months or so, all that Ghana has been waiting for and preparing for its arrival is the IMF program. So here we are. In as much as it's good news, merely getting an IMF program is not an achievement to be celebrated. The program actually represents Ghana's failures over the years. That's when you read the program document, I'm sure you have a copy now.
Yes, I do.
You will see, and as George Yafi said, you will see failed actions over the years that have accumulated and suffocating the economy. You see the IMF now coming back to the reality that the external shocks in the form of Russia, Ukraine, only exacerbated pre-existing conditions. And we have said this long ago. So for anyone in their imagination to have assumed that Ghana found itself in this precarious situation because of simply Russia, Ukraine, has a poor reflection of where we have come from. And as a country, in as much as it's good news, it's also a sad day for me because this is not the first time we have gone to the IMF. This is our 17th IMF-supported program. And what that tells you is that we have demonstrated that we are people who are not competent enough to consistently manage our own affairs and undermine our sovereignty as a country, our economic sovereignty. Also, Wilson, if you look at the program and the measures and all that is in the program, I am confident that we have spoken about more than 90% of them in the last 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
That we needed to do. And the reason I'm drawing on this is to compare Ghana to Malaysia and Singapore. And where in the case of Malaysia and Singapore, it had been concluded that they had practically implemented IMF programs without the IMF. So many of the things we've been talking about, academics, CSOs, that we needed to do and we failed to do, and all of that are all here. That said, Winston, I have a problem with the program design. And by the time we are done, it will leave more Ghanaians vulnerable than it sought to achieve. I will tell you why.
Okay, please do.
We have said that Ghana's problem is not so much of the fact that we are not generating more revenue. We know that our tax to GDP ratio is low, but Ghana is not an outlier in that space. And that a sport child, in as much as that sport child needs more money, that sport child needs more discipline and measures to tackle corruption. I have gone through the program. The program is very largely mute on corruption measures. The program is largely mute on a wasteful expenditure cuts. The program is heavily based on revenue revenue-based expenditure, revenue-based fiscal consolidation. And I think by design, that is an error. Why am I saying so? If you look at Ghana and Malaysia, from the 60s, per capita GDP and all of that, we're almost at the same time, in the same level. In fact, Ghana's GDP per capita in 1960-61 was higher than that of South Korea. But Winston, guess what? If you look at the tax to GDP ratio of Malaysia in the last couple of years, it has been practically below 15%. If you look at the tax to GDP ratio of Singapore, you can check from the OECD and the other databases, right? You will see that their tax to GDP ratio has been below 16%. Ghana's tax to GDP ratio at some point in time, quite recently, was more than 17%. All that I'm trying to put across is that we think it is wrong to assume that our problem can be solved largely by collecting more revenue. What the program failed to do, from what I have read, is that it failed to place greater emphasis also on wasteful expenditure cuts and addressing corruption. Without that, and the IMF unfortunately concludes with government that the way out is more revenue. Yes, we all agree. And also, it is unfortunate that we think that we can scale up tax to GDP ratio through the tax handles that we have right now, which are more inequality worsening, which increases poverty rather.
Okay, Prof,
now,
you know what we're going to do, Prof? Kindly hold on. We'll come back because these are your preliminary thoughts. Let me just take marks and then we come back and expand. We'll also look at, how, for instance, the government intends to increase revenue, how it tends to increase revenue, revenue administration, and all the, policies that it intends to implement in ensuring that we're able to achieve that. We'll focus more on that because that's actually, and, the fund is right. It talks about the fact that the staff supports the authority's preference for a fiscal strategy that is based on a significant revenue increase. And the emphasis on a significant revenue increase. Mark, for many of you had been complaining in the past. As businesses, you had talked about how the rate of inflation and how the exchange rates were affecting you. You had been told that, hold on a minute, let's get the IMF deal, and we're sure we'll be able to deal with all of these things. Now that we've gotten the deal, you're excited?
Let me say it's a good news. Excitement for me is another thing. Prior to that, for me, we have lost all the key ingredients of a very good business environment. We have lost confidence in the economy, instability in the macroeconomic environment, and high level of uncertainties. These are things or items that negatively impact business activities. For instance, business would want to be able to predict the future with certainty. We got to a level where we couldn't do that. Constantly, we get calls from people with money who would want to invest in the economy. And because of lack of confidence, they will always ask you, is the IMF deal coming? Are you sure you'll be able to turn your economy around? And I've had calls to always explain to them. We had a delegation chamber coming to Pakistan, coming to Ghana just last week. And one of the questions that they kept asking was, how are you going to turn your economy around? If I should invest my money in your economy, is there the likelihood that I'm going to get good returns and my capital? So the economy has been deteriorated to a level where that confidence was not there. With this IMF facility, it is bringing the confidence back. Just the announcement that the bilateral creditors have given us an assurance. We saw what happened with the CD as against the dollar. And also with this announcement of approval, you've seen significant improvement in the CD against the dollar. So gradually we are getting the confidence back. For me, that is very key. But in terms of excitement, I don't think we should jubilate that we've got an IMF deal. For me, it's not a key performance indicator for any government to be looking at. Since 1957, almost all the president or all the government, they've taken us to IMF. What we should be looking at now, and as one of the key performance indicators that we should give to any government, is that you have to ensure that you manage the economy very well to the extent that you don't take us to IMF. Then all of us will be excited. If you are excited that somebody has taken us to IMF and been able to get us a deal, then I think it's in a way mediocrity in our thinking. Because IMF, you go there when you have challenges. You go there when you have run your economy down. Even the name for the money they are giving to us, IMF bailout. They are bailing you out because you have ruined your economy. You've gotten to a level where your economy is collapsing. So don't let us get to that level and be excited, possibly popping champagne and also eating kenke in excitement. But now let's now begin to think about the mitigation measures from the conditions that will be coming to us. From Prof's statements, you realize that there's a lot of difficulties ahead of us. And these things are going to impact on the activities of businesses.
Okay. Go ahead.
So businesses thrive in a certain environment. We are hoping that with this IMF deal, inflation will come down. With this IMF deal, the cedi will gain more and be strengthened against the major trading currencies. With this IMF deal, the central bank will respond positively by reducing the policy rate, and the lending rate will also come down. The private sector is ready to take up and expand if all these things that I've spoken about, all these conditions are favorable. That is where the economy will be thriving. So for businesses, of course, we've gotten to a level where without this deal, probably the economy would have collapsed. So now at least we have a sound footing going to the future. And I'm hoping that the authorities will do the right thing to ensure that we sustain the gains that we have made. If you look at other countries that receive IMF bailout, some of them went back and they saw deterioration in their macroeconomic indicators and variables. How do we sustain the gains that we have made to the extent that we give some relief to businesses and the private sector? That is where I am looking at. Prices may not necessarily go down because we have received IMF deal. Prices will go down because all the variables that fit into the cost of production are going down. A typical business will determine price based on the cost and the margin. So if interest rates are going down, if the cedi is stable, inflation is going down, and of course, all the other cost of production, electricity, water, if they are all going down, then definitely businesses will respond positively by reducing prices. You are now, all of us are happy because we have an IMF deal, stability in the foreign exchange market and all those things. But we have also announced an increment in electricity. It's like you are adding and you are subtracting. You are asking drivers to reduce transportation by 10%. But you have increased electricity. We have introduced 2 new taxes. The 10% as compared to the increase in cost of production out of electricity and also out of the taxes is higher than the reduction. So definitely, people may be expecting a decrease in prices, but it may not happen as soon as we expect because a lot of things will have to go into the computation before businesses will react to that.
I'll get back to you, Mark, because we need to get into the details, but you've actually given an indication that, well, you know, if the rate of inflation goes down, if lending rates go down, it may actually lead to some reduction in the price of goods and services. We'll explore that later. But look, some people spend their lives trying to be rich. Others are born that way, not because of what they have, but because of where they come from. Choose the fresh mineral water that's made naturally rich by the same African soil that made you. Voltic, own your richness. And Airtel Tigo wishes to announce to its cherished customers that all unregistered SIMs will be permanently disconnected effective 31st May 2023 in line with the NCS directive. Customers who are yet to complete their SIM registration are entreated to visit the nearest Airtel Tigo shop immediately with their Ghana card to avoid permanently losing their numbers. What's more, you get up to 5 gigabyte free data instantly after your registration is completed. So get registered now. Airtel Tigo, life is simple. But now it is your time to enjoy Royal Foam mattress at an affordable rate. Things are really hard and prices of goods and services are on the rise every day, and that's why Royal Foam is bringing to you a sales promotion dubbed Wonsumreni. It is your time to enjoy a 10% discount off on the current prices of our mattresses. Yes, a 10% discount on our mattresses with free pillows in addition. So rush to all Royal Foam shops and get a 10% discount on every mattress purchase, as well as enjoy our free pillows. You can call us on 0202 271,000 020 227 1000 for more information. Royal Foam, rest assured. Stay with us. When we return after these messages, we get into the details of Ghana's IMF program.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Free home theater, free Bluetooth speaker, cash discount, and more. Big double cash discount on LED smart TVs, smart refrigerators, smart inverter air conditioners, freezers, mobile phones, laptop, printers, and many more. Get your LG, Samsung, Panasonic, Sony, Philips, Infinix, Xiaomi, Tecno, HP, Lenovo, and many more international brands only at Electromat. Rush to the nearest or closest Electromat shop or WhatsApp on 0552 755456. Electromat, your world of electronics.
You need to ask yourself, where do you want to go? No matter who you are, trust yourself. Dream big. Break the rules, not the laws. Keep pushing. Everything is possible. Trust yourself. Life is about confidence. Africa, it's your time.
Son, live with confidence.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
We shouldn't have gone to that party.
Masa, my head is killing me. Is that your stomach?
Yes.
What did you eat?
I don't know. Get rid of your gastric problems with number 10 liver salt. Number 10 gives you quick, effective relief from nausea, indigestion, heartburns, hangovers, and hyperacidity. And with different fruity flavors such as orange and lemon, it's a pretty tasty way to end an uncomfortable situation. Number 10 liver salt from Ernest Chemist, because everyone needs a chemist.
This advert has been vetted and approved by FDA.
Bet365 is now officially available in Ghana. My G, if you love sports, there's no better way to get a piece of the action. Build your own personalized bet with Bet Builder and select from popular markets on the biggest sports. You fit make multiple selections within a single match. For example, in football, you can choose first goal scorer and both teams to score to create your bet. Charlie, visit the official site at bet365.com.gh. Over 18s only. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Super Morning Show.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And in our current state, dollars mean a lot to us. And so this morning we're talking about Ghana's IMF program, which secured the board's approval yesterday. And we'll be finding out from George shortly. George Riafi, who is Joy Business editor, he's joined us. He'll be telling us shortly when, all things being equal, we expect the money to hit our account. We're also joined by Professor Godfred Bokpin, who is a professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School. Mark Bedu-Abuaje is the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's joined us in studio. But look, every time we eat, sugars and food are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro-fluoride and micro-calcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. This prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, maximum cavity protection, 10 times stronger teeth. Now, Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association, and there are 2 other highly effective variants of Pepsodent on the market. Pepsodent Charcoal, made with a fine blend of activated charcoal and lemon essence. Pepsodent Charcoal White gently polishes away tooth stains and naturally restores your bright smile. Pepsodent Herbal, for our herbal lovers. Try Pepsodent Herbal toothpaste, formulated from carefully selected natural extracts and uniquely blended herbs. Pepsodent Herbal releases, repairs, and protects gum tissues while giving you strong teeth. You can get Pepsodent at any shop near you. Call our customer care center on toll-free 0800 2030. Always remember to brush your teeth in the morning and before you sleep at night. Pepsodent, every smile matters. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana wishes to inform the general public, especially our cherished customers, that with the introduction of enhanced ECG Power app, customers are required to do cashless business with ECG anytime and anywhere. Key benefits of using the ECG Power app is that it allows credit top-up for your smart prepay meter, accepts payment from mobile money wallets, Visa and MasterCard for ECG transactions, generates bank invoice for payment, serves as platform for reporting and resolving issues, accepts payment for all invoices generated by ECG, refunds challenge top apps, and provides a history of payment transactions and consumption information. It provides notifications and alerts from ECG. It is convenient, safe, and secured for use 24/7. Customers should please download the ECG Power app from Google Play Store or App Store, and customers with non-smartphones should dial *226# to access the ECG Power app for all transactions. For assistance or further information, visit the nearest ECG office or website at ecg.com.gh or contact our call center 0302 611 611. Help ECG to serve you better. So, it's that time of the day to order some tasty grilled chicken with fried rice. Now, it's the best of its kind. Enjoy the smell of carefully selected fresh ingredients. Feel the love in every bite of excellently savored and sizzled food. If you're working in Accra or Tema, call Lunch Avenue on 0558 502 206 to order fresh home-cooked and nutritious meals. Lunch Avenue, tasty, yummy, and healthy. Now, drive confidence with a touch of class and style in VW Polo Sedan. It comes fully equipped with numerous safety features to keep you and your family safe on the road. Enjoy a special discount when you purchase the VW Polo Sedan. Contact Universal Motors Limited on 0544 338 804 for more information. So the head of the IMF has been speaking following the approval of Ghana's program. Let's listen to her first, and then you also hear from Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. So we'll be listening to Kristalina Georgieva as she spoke about how this deal will impact Ghana's economy.
I'm very pleased that the IMF Executive Board has approved a 3-year, $3 billion support for this program. We are proud to be partners with Ghana in addressing the difficult economic and financial conditions the country is facing. Today's decision is also a major milestone for the G20 Common Framework. The commitment by the Official Creditors Committee to help make Ghana's debt sustainable was essential for the approval of the funds program, and it signals important progress in the G20 Common Framework. The decision our board has taken is the beginning of the work we will do together with the authorities of Ghana for the implementation of the program for the benefit of the people of Ghana.
Our bilateral and development partners, all our investors, and the IMF for their commitment and the sacrifices that have made it possible for us to achieve an IMF program in record time. It has not been an easy 10-month journey, but by the abundant grace of God and of sheer grit and determination to place Ghana firmly back onto strong economic footing, the impossible has been made possible, and we thank God for that. Ghana's IMF board approval is far from a magic solution wand. What is, however, is the crucial first step on the necessary journey of strong reforms, inclusive growth, and relentless pursuit of a growth agenda geared towards returning Ghana's economy to a place of strength, prosperity, and resilience. I take this opportunity to call on all Ghanaians, investors, bilateral development partners to take up the cause of Ghana and support the government in the implementation of the PCPEC-backed IMF ECF program.
Morning Show.
Right, so you heard from the MD of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva first, and then Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. I still have George Riafi with me and Professor Godfred Bokping, as well as Mark Bidwabwaje. So, George, let me just wrap this up with you so that you would leave us. So, we're told that we should expect some $600 million. When is that likely to hit our account?
Well, normally, I mean, for international transaction challenges and all the rest, normally it should take minimum 2 to 3 days or 4 days for these monies to waste and hit Bank of Ghana's account. So if it's not this Friday, latest by next week, that money should come, or that money should be transferred directly to the Bank of Ghana's account. Winston, don't forget that this one was just because we had met all the preconditions. The next tranches that are going to come will be tied strictly to meeting certain conditions of the program. So if you don't meet those conditions, Winston, those monies would just not come. And so that is what it means in terms of these monies, the drawdowns we are going to get from the IMF, that will come to Ghana, Bank of Ghana's account to support Ghana's balance of payment needs. We understand that the World Bank is also going to advance almost $1 billion to government. That will go directly to projects identified in the budget over the next 3 years. So this one is specifically for the Bank of Ghana, our balance of payment needs to finance imports and all the rest. And the expectation is that if the bank is on board, if the IMF is on board, then it will unlock other partners also to come on board, strictly tied to meeting conditions. And as I said earlier on, these are things that we should have done over the years. What this program is doing is just to force you to take those corrective measures to put your economy back on a strong footing.
George, so apart from the 600 million, how much are we expecting again from the IMF this year?
This year, we are looking at a total amount of about $1.2 billion to come from the IMF. And so the second tranche should come somewhere in November or December or even January. But the fund will be in town in June to do the staff level review as well to ensure that we are on track. So when these benchmarks are met, these qualitative indicators are met, then the drawdowns or Ghana can access this drawdown. But if you miss them and you don't get any waiver, don't forget what happened to Zambia. So it is not an automatic thing that because you've gotten the program by the board, automatically everything is going to come to you. You have to meet those critical benchmarks before the board will approve those disbursements to come to you.
Great. George Riafi, thank you very, very much for joining us. We're grateful to you. That's editor of Joy Business, George Riafi, joining us. Let me get back to you, Professor Bokping, because earlier you had raised some concerns. Mark Bidwabwaje in studio has talked about how, in his belief, he says it's good news. He hopes that, once the city's rate of depreciation ceases and the city begins to appreciate, he expects the prices of goods and services to go down, because then the rate of inflation, all things being equal, will go down. The Bank of Ghana would reduce the policy rate, even though there are, a lot of discussions and they feel they should probably be maintaining it now. But in the next quarter or so, they could be reducing it. And for him, all of these would lead to some improvement. Is that not beneficial? I mean, is that not beneficial to us?
Yes, Winston, that is beneficial to us. We are not discounting that, actually. We have placed emphasis on that. We have welcomed the board approval. And Winston, you will see clearly that the signal from the IMF for Ghana to reach out have been clear from 2021. Now, because we delayed in making that crucial decision, the vulnerabilities became worse. So what the program as we have it right now has more to do with the urgency of the IMF in helping Ghana than we are helping our leaders. We can say that without any shame. And I think that if there's any credit from this approval, the IMF deserves it. If you look at the urgency with which they came to this country after 1st July, when the call was made to the IMF, you could see that they had already booked their tickets waiting for that call. If you look at the speed with which the staff level agreement was reached on December 12th, even working through holidays and weekends, it tells you the urgency with which the IMF places on helping Ghana. If you look at the role the IMF has played in getting our external bilateral creditors to come to a common framework through the official creditor committee co-chaired also by China in securing the funding assurance, you see the urgency with which the IMF attaches to Ghana's situation. So to that extent, that which we fail to generate ourselves in terms of policy credibility, the IMF program brings that on board. The positive sentiment surrounding the arrival of the program in itself will manifest explicitly in certain macro variables, including exchange rates. But you can also go back to history and look at how the data respond, the economy responds. Sometimes many of these gains have been very temporary. Very temporary. So in as much as this is good news, what this means is that it's now time to work harder. Why am I saying so? Across several fronts. The next trend, as George said, will be performance driven. Part of that may also be beyond even Ghana, because the funding assurance that we have received from Ghana's bilateral creditors, the details are now going to be worked out.
Okay.
So one of the program objectives is to restore debt sustainability. That is largely contingent on how Ghana's creditors actually respond to this program outcome and how quickly they work out the details in terms of the level of debt relief or fresh funding that must come to Ghana.
Okay.
That is not the end. That is just external. If one of the program objectives is again debt sustainability, our external commercial, Winston, is about $14.6 billion. External commercial, I'm talking about Eurobond.
Yeah.
So we are now going to approach the Eurobond creditors in debt restructuring. The progress we can make there, we don't have total control. Remember, the draconian approach that the government adopted with the restructuring of the domestic debt, that same approach will not work with external commercial. Eurobond holders.
Okay.
So that is one challenge we need to bear in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to have a strategy to navigate our way through all of this. Then also, Winston, as part of the prior actions, the domestic debt restructuring that we have done, government made minimal progress. We still have about 123 billion cedis of the domestic debt to be restructured. That is work. Winston, if you look at the structural benchmarks under the program and then the quantitative targets under the program from now to 2026, it tells you work. In the medium
now let's look at one thing. I mean, since you're talking about the structural programs, I'm just looking at I had earlier raised that the staff supported authorities' decision to go for a fiscal strategy that is based on significant revenue increase.
Yeah.
And that is in paragraph 24. Let me just read paragraph 24. Get your thoughts on it, and then I'll get back to Mark Bedouabaji in studio. Listeners, this morning we're having a conversation about Ghana's IMF program. Now that it's been approved, what's in it for us? What could be the benefit or the challenge? Because now we have in front of us the detailed program and policies. And we're joined by Mark Bedouabaji, who is CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Professor Godfred Bokwing, Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School. Now, it says to address these challenges and achieve the program's revenue mobilization objectives, the authorities are preparing a medium-term revenue strategy. Now, this strategy will focus on tax policy and revenue administration measures necessary to reach the authorities' program revenue objectives over the 2023-2026 period. An IMF's Fiscal Affairs Department Tax Diagnostic Mission identified the following potential measures to sustainably generate significant revenue while addressing efficiency and equity concerns. Let's listen to these potential measures. I, removing VAT exemptions, which are estimated at close to 2% of GDP. 2, reforming the CIT by phasing out tax holidays and exemptions and strengthening safeguards against profit shifting. 3, I beg your pardon, reducing customs exemption. 4, increasing progressivity in personal income taxes. 5, automatically adjusting fuel levies by exchange rate movement or inflation. I'll take that again. Automatically adjusting fuel levies by exchange rate movement or inflation. Adopting new fiscal regime for the extractive industries. And the Fiscal Affairs Department is also providing technical assistance in designing the medium-term revenue strategy. And along with Ghana's development partners, will continue supporting implementation of the strategy. And the medium-term revenue strategy will be approved by Cabinet and published by end of September 2023. That's a structural benchmark, and will serve as input into the 2024 budget. Professor Bokwing.
Yes, there you go. We have said that long ago. Winston, the tax measures, the handles will be assessed. Remember, Ghana government has committed Ghanaians under this program to significantly scale up tax to GDP ratio to about 18.2%.
Yeah.
Winston, for any country to even move its tax to GDP ratio by 1 percentage point is cost to businesses, households. So for a country that is already stretched up, to make that commitment that we, over a 3-year period, just 36 months, we will move tax to GDP ratio, even to increase tax to GDP by 1 percentage point. Winston, it's a lot of work and a lot of pay. And to move that from below 13% to 18.2% by 2026 tells you that the journey ahead needs to be monitored. That said, look at the interesting thing. One thing, if you pick Ghana's VAT in the books, it tells you that our standard VAT rate is 15%, and that is a lie. The effective incidence of our VAT is over 21%, and it's one of the highest in the whole of Africa. Today, if you went to a shop, a VAT registered shop, and you bought something, the layers of taxes take more space on your receipt than the item you bought. You check.
Yes, you're right. We've seen it.
So if you went to a shop today, you bought something, the classification of taxes on it is more than the number of items you bought.
Okay. So, Prof,
that is not the end. Winston, I'll conclude very soon, and then your colleague will come in.
Yes.
My colleague will come in. That is not the only thing. We are looking at progressively scaling up personal income tax. Already, the income tax bracket for the higher income tax earners is 35%.
Yeah.
That is not the end. But what even makes it more interesting is that corporate income tax in our books, it tells you that it's 25%. That creates an impression that Ghana has one of the lowest corporate income tax. But the effective tax on companies, especially the banking industry, is over 36%. When you account for the banking sector recovery levy and now growth and sustainability levy, effectively, it's more than 36%. That is not the only thing. Now we are talking about removing VAT exemptions and all of that. So the point that I'm making is that if you are courting growth, which is fundamental, more importantly, resilient, inclusive growth, this is the wrong approach.
Let me just get your view on this one, because it talks about that on fuel, that automatically adjusting fuel levies by exchange rate movement or inflation.
Yes.
What's that?
So, we have arrears that stays on the books of the state because we are not passing on the cost build-up to the final consumer, export price fuel. So when the cedi depreciates, we have been unwilling to pass on that cost. The fact that you don't pass it on doesn't mean it's paid. These are accumulated arrears. So as part of the program, the adjustment mechanism will be set that the pass-through effect is almost synchronous or almost automatic. Let me put it that way. So that as part of the program, whilst we try to clear the legacy debt or arrears, we don't accumulate any further. So that is one layer of the adjustment. Now, Winston, that is not the only thing. As part of the program, we should expect regular, predictable utility adjustment as part of the program. And I'm sure, I think my colleague there mentioned the impact of that as against the reduction in other macroeconomic variables. That's real. For the first time in our recent time, Winston, there is an expenditure item in our budget called other expenditure. In the 2023 budget, that is approximately 28 billion cedis. If you look at the composition of that, it's largely our indebtedness to the independent power producers, arrears in the energy sector value chain. So as part of this program, we are aiming at neutralizing that legal arrears. And whilst we forestall or prevent any further accumulation. So what it means is that in as much as the IMF program is good news, we should just understand that we should brace ourselves up for impact landing. When I say so, I'm not blaming the IMF or anything, and I lean towards what George Afif said, that part of the conditionality that we say IMF conditionality, these are deferred actions that we should have done over the years, and if we had done so, the impact wouldn't have been as significant as accumulating them, and within the shortest possible time. Remember, the time is not on the side of the IMF. The program is 3 years, and they have to make sure that within the 3 years, right, all these adjustments are carried through. And that is why the IMF made utility adjustment one of the prior action. And the projection was that the utility adjustment on the 1st February, that was, I think, slightly below 30%, was supposed to have gone up by 60%. Okay? But of course, the authorities were also mindful of the backlash, right? And all of that. If you heard, I think 2 days ago or so, our president, I'm sure he knew and he is aware that it was advising PURC to be gradual in the utility adjustment. I read it online, right? So the next 3 years, we have to go through certain painful adjustments. But my worry is that when we have gone through this without significant expenditure-based fiscal consolidation and cutting of wastefulness, Ghana would only return to the IMF faster than we've done in the past.
Great. Let me just bring Mark in at this point in time. I'll get back to you because, the bit about the fuel levies, and we are, for many people who are excited about the fact that, if the city appreciates, now it says these levies should be automatically adjusted when there's exchange rate changes and also when there's inflation. That means we'll be seeing a continuous rise. Let me get to you, Mark Lidwabuaji. You earlier expressed some bit of hope that this was going to, lead to some good deals for you in business. But as we began going into the details, have you changed that position?
Well, Winston, that's we usually say the devil is in the details. And then after reading the Article 24, I'm so much worried about what is ahead of us as businesses and also as citizens of Ghana. The IMF facility is not a panacea in itself. What it does, as we have all said, is to help us stabilize the economy. You need the private sector to ensure that we get the growth. So whatever conditionalities are there, we should be careful to look at the negative impact of these conditionalities on the activities of businesses. IMF will not give you money to invest in infrastructure. It requires the private sector to do that. Already, the environment is harsh. I get worried when anybody says that businesses in Ghana are not paying taxes. And that is totally wrong. As Prof said, sit down and calculate and realize that the issue is not with businesses or those who are paying. The issue is with those who are not paying. And of course, as we've been saying, broadening the tax net. We usually compare our tax revenue to GDP to the other countries. But what we have failed to do is to compare the number of possible taxpayers, those who are paying and those who are supposed to pay. If you take Ghana, for instance, those who are supposed to pay tax are about 15 million. Only 5 million are paying, and substantial amount of this are businesses. A typical case is that all the government agencies are now authorities, and they are charging fees and levies. Are those fees calculated as part of our tax to GDP? If they are not, then they should begin to do that, and they will know that businesses are paying more. Because aside paying your corporate tax, the taxes and levies that you are paying are all part of the cost of production. So if you are comparing, then compare also to those countries and look at those who are paying. What we need to do with this is that they should consult the businesses and the private sector whenever they are coming out with policies like this, and not to sidestep them or sideline them and come out with taxes as they did with the 3 key taxes that they introduced. Getting tax revenue is not only about increasing the tax rate, because research has shown that if you increase the tax rate to a certain level, the revenue that will come out of the tax will drop. And the Laffer curve is clear for everybody to see. Anybody can go and read. And that is the level that we are getting to. We sleep, the next day we come out and we are increasing the tax rate, thinking that people will pay. Businesses are businesses and they are profit oriented. They will find a legal way of not paying the taxes. And this was obvious when we introduced the e-levy. And of course, I'm also a bit skeptical about us getting the revenue that we require from the 3 taxes that we have introduced. So if aside all this, you are going to introduce more taxes, then what we are saying is that the cost of production will go up. The inflation that we are all seeking to bring it down will not come, or the rate at which we expect that it will decline will not be like that. The policy rate will stay up there because the key role of the central bank is to ensure that inflation is coming down. So if out of these conditionalities inflation is up there, then we expect that the central bank will keep the policy rate at where it is. And of course, it's going to affect the activities of businesses. If we do that, we will end up getting the IMF money, but in terms of growth and resilience, the economy will continue to be weak. So for me, we should be careful with this. We should consult more and get the ideas of almost everybody that matters when it comes to these policies. Our consultation when it comes to introduction of policies has been poor. And if you look at the roadmap to this IMF, we realize that at any point that they introduce something, you get people fighting against it. If they have consulted enough, have had people to make their input into what they are doing, and people are comfortable with it, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are now. So they should listen. Businesses are ready to support the government to ensure that this deal become a success. It's in the interest of all of us, because when we have a stable environment, businesses will also thrive. But we should be careful with this. That's why I'm saying that in rejoicing, in pumping champagne, we should end it now and look at how we are going to mitigate the negative impact of these conditionalities on businesses and the people of Ghana.
Great, I'll get back to you, but let me just say that this morning we're joined by Mark Bedu-Abaji, who is CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Professor Godfred Bokwing, Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, talking about parties on State of Play this afternoon, 2:30 p.m. on Facebook. We're talking about Ghana's IMF approval and why Ken Ofo-Atta cannot afford to throw a kinky party this time around. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Anytime is a good time to have a break. Introducing Munchie Anytime Crackers. It's perfect for break times, party times, movie times, and snack times. Savor the moment. Enjoy Munchie Anytime Crackers anytime. Munchie Anytime Crackers. It's light and tasty.
This outfit is FDA approved.
Introducing the new Techno Spark 10 series. Enjoy a long-lasting 5000 mAh battery capacity plus 18 watts charging pack in an ultra-sleek 6.7-inch Full HD screen with a storage galore of 256GB plus 8GB. You can save every memory and never lose any. 32 megapixels glowing selfie camera and 50 megapixels AI rear camera. Get your Techno Spark 10 series. Visit the nearest Techno accredited shop and join the glowing selfie gang.
Ojam, why you make quiet like that?
Oh, Charlie, I go do some POP, give somebody where the cornice is not fine, crap.
I always they tell you, see, for decorative roses and cornices, the solution be interface. Them have different imported cornices and roses in different designs and shapes. Installing them be so easy, and it go give your customer the finishing he wants.
Ojam, take me go interface right now before I lose this customer.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 020 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook Interface Limited GH. Instagram Interface.limited.
For 3 points, name all the teams in the Bet Power Premier League. Samatex, Adriana All-Stars, Kemfaisa, BBNE Gold Stars, RTU, Accra Great Olympics, Legon City, Asante Kotoko, Karela United, Mediama, Accra House of Hope, Tamale City, Bechem United, Kotoku Royal, Nswatreman FC, Dreams FC, Brekum Chelsea, and Accra Lions. Correct for 3 points. Now who win the league?
That one, unless we go stadium.
Oh, say Ghana football, the Bet Power Premier League is on. Let's go to the stadiums to cheer on our favorite teams. This is the love.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
So welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM, where this morning we're still, we're discussing Ghana's IMF program. Now we have the program. We're going through it. We have Mark Bedu-Abaji, CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Joining us in studio, Professor Godfred Bokping is Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, joining us on phone. And we have Haruna Idrisu, who is a Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He's also joined us on phone because he wants to share a view on, Ghana's IMF program. He's former minority leader in Parliament. Honorable Haruna Idrisu, good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston. Bless you and the team.
Great.
We are going through another intervention of international financing for purposes of policy credibility to prepare the country to be able to access the international financial capital market. It appears to me that the IMF ECF that the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have signed is an over-ambitious one. And it's over-ambitious in the sense that it is going to affect the fiscal space that may be available to a successor government. It may be a John Mahama government, an NDC government tomorrow. Inherent in this agreement is that there shall be no non-concessional borrowing between now and 2027. As part of the agreement they reached with the IMF. There shall be no access to non-concessionary borrowing. So it means that, say, for concessionary financing, government may not be able to borrow between now and 2027. Nana Addo Dankwa, we will bid him farewell January 7, 2025. So it's encumbering the fiscal space that may be available for a successor government. That is what excessive and reckless borrowing does to an economy. Apart from the debilitating effect on the private sector, on businesses, on employment, I just think that this IMF deal is over-ambitious. What we need to do as a country is to resolve, one, even the so-called Memorandum of Understanding with Bank of Ghana, why do we have a Public Financial Management Act? Are we respecting it? Why do we have a Fiscal Responsibility Act? Why are we keeping it in suspension and not keeping it functional? How do we expand our export base in order to improve our forex regime? There are many contractors out there who think that once the IMF train have arrived, life is normal for them and tomorrow will be good with payment. That is not the case. Government owes it to explain to the Ghanaian public its economic recovery program, and that largely all this money is meant for balance of payment support, is to boost the Bank of Ghana's forex standard. But my disappointment is that Ghana may not be able to access the international capital market immediately, as we are being made to believe by some actors from the finance ministry. Fidelity and truth to information is important for purpose of planning, apart from contributing to the collapsing of our banks and loss of jobs. Winston, thank you.
All right, Honorable Haruna Diso, thank you very much for that information and those thoughts that are shared with us. But let's come back in studio. Let's come back in studio to Mark Bedu-Abuaje and Professor Godfred Bokwing. But first, fun time for the kids mean fun time with DSTV. And DSTV is the home of the best kids entertainment with something exciting for children of all ages. And you know what the best part is? They get to learn while having fun. So give them premium enjoyment with shows such as Coco Melon on Moonbag on DSTV channel 318, Paw Patrol on Nicktoons channel 308, Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network channel 301, PL Mask, Power Heroes on Disney Junior channel 309, and so much more. Reconnect or stay connected by dialing *759# to make sure your kids don't miss out on all the love. DSTV, it's your moment. Now, every time we eat food, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. And Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro-fluoride and micro-calcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. This prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, maximum cavity protection, 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association. There are 2 other highly effective variants of Pepsodent on the market. Pepsodent Charcoal, made with a fine blend of activated charcoal and lemon essence. Pepsodent Charcoal White gently polishes away tooth stains and naturally restores your bright smile. Pepsodent Herbal, for our herbal lovers, try Pepsodent Herbal toothpaste, formulated from carefully selected natural extracts and uniquely blended herbs. Pepsodent Herbal releases, repairs, and protects gum tissues while giving you strong teeth. You can get Pepsodent at any shop near you. Call our customer care center on toll-free 0800 2030. Always remember to brush your teeth in the morning and before you sleep at night. Pepsodent, every smile matters. Now, it's historic, iconic, and thrilling. Birthed in Spain in 1635, caught the eyes of the world, performed in almost all stages in Europe, listed as one of the 40 greatest plays of all time. Now in Africa, Ghana, Accra, is the Afrocentric edition of Life is a Dream by Lateef Abubakar, and is a Spain-Ghana production live at the Accra International Conference Center on the 27th and the 28th of May. 2 shows each day, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. It's only 150 Ghana cedis. Dial *447*1092# to grab your tickets, or visit at Lateef Globe on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for details. Early bird ticket at 100 Ghana cedis before the 19th of May. So that's today. Tickets are available at Joy FM, Bachana Total, Airport Shell. Life is a Dream is sponsored by Embassy of Spain and M&C Group, supported by the Second Coming of Nkrumah Project, powered by Joy Entertainment, Graphic News Plus app, and Globe Productions. Globe Productions, experience the best. Okay, Mark Bedu-Abuaje, let's wrap this up. So, before I get to Professor Bokwing, you've been reading bits and pieces of it. So, for all of us who are expecting that times are going to be better, and you as industry are going to see a boom and by extension a reduction in prices, what are you telling us?
Yes, I think we should begin to think about how we can get a fine balance between the stability that we want and also empowering the private sector. Now, we were aware that this IMF deal definitely will come out with conditionalities that will not or may not be in favor of businesses. It also likely depends on how we are going to implement these conditionalities. If you look at what we read, it looks as if that much of the emphasis is on tax or revenue generation, which if you look at the structure of economy, largely it will be on taxes. I would also call on the government to look at also the expenditure aspect of it, so that we look at the two handles and see how we can support businesses along this line. We cannot kill businesses because we have IMF money, because IMF in itself will not employ anybody. The government in itself clearly stated that it doesn't have the luxury of employing a lot of people. So the emphasis now is on businesses to expand, to employ people. Now, if you are able to strengthen the private sector and increase our export, we will get even more money than what IMF is giving to us. If you add value to our raw material, which I've said over and over again, then all of us are going to increase productivity, of which the businesses are ready to do. Export is key. That is where our focus should be. So anything within these conditionalities that will impact negatively on businesses, that will increase the cost of production, and that will increase taxes, and then affect profit of businesses, we should have a second look at it. I believe that we can do it. We have done it before. And then, as I said, it also requires consultation and ensuring that all of us will make input into it. Ghana will survive, but our survival largely also depends on how the private sector or businesses are doing. That is where we should look at. Let us now begin to think about the businesses that we have, the challenges they are going through. How do we provide support to them? If you identify sectors with high potential to grow and ensure that we have resilient economy, we should do that. But my major concern also is how we are obsessed with macroeconomic variables and also solving economic situations all over with macroeconomy. In fact, in economies that are always using the macroeconomy are economies that have walked the path of micro. And the micro is the foundation of every economy. The household, the businesses. How are businesses performing? If our businesses are resilient, we will not suffer from the effect of the COVID-19 that much. We wouldn't have suffered from the effect of Russia-Ukraine war, because all the things that probably would have imported from Russia and Ukraine that negatively impacted our foreign exchange would have produced them here. So let us begin to produce at least the basic things that we need here. Government won't do that. It's businesses that will do that. But it will require that government will create the right environment for businesses. It's two-way affairs, because government has the power just to come out with policies. Once they do that, Winston, trust me, businesses in Ghana are very, very ready. I told you last time that we conducted a research, the chamber, and we realized that the SMEs in Ghana are growth-oriented, which means that giving them the opportunity, they can grow to become multinationals. But when you introduce externalities like taxes, like high interest rates, like levies, then you go to their bottom line and you realize that all of them are making losses, which means that that component needs to be managed. And that is where my concern is, because these conditionalities will or may worsen that aspect of support that we need to give to businesses. So let's work together to ensure that this IMF deal becomes a success, both in the interest of Mother Ghana and also in the interest of businesses.
Great. Let me bring you in, Professor Godfred Bokpin. And so, but you know, we've seen one thing, and we started talking about it. The tax exemptions going forward, we're advised to stop that. That should be welcome news for you, isn't it? Hello, Professor Bokping.
Hello.
Yes, Prof. Yes, I'm listening.
And especially the abuse with politically connected businesses who import and take advantage of that. So that is good news. So listen, when we say that taxes, it may not immediately take the form of new tax handles, but there's going to be a lot of revisions to the existing tax measures that may result in you paying more taxes and a combination of that, okay? Because the goal we have set for ourselves is to increase tax to GDP ratio. And I think I lean towards the president of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce, also in your studio,
yes,
that in fiscal consolidation, and actually he was right, and that is consistent with the theoretical development and empirical regularity in that area, that in achieving fiscal consolidation, you are looking at a mix of expenditure and revenue that balances the risk and opportunities. That is what a country needs to do. When you tilt it more towards the other side, what it means is that in your attempt to repair the public sector balance sheet, that is going to impact the balance sheet of the private sector and households. And by the time you realize, you will not get the much needed impact. So, for instance, let's ask ourselves, in the next 3 years, how many people, as a result of the implementation of this program, will be taken out of poverty? Okay? Let's ask ourselves, let's cost it. In fact, beyond, look, I'm not discounting the role of the IMF. Look, they've been helpful, but the best helping hand we can find as a country is at the end of our own arm. So let's ask ourselves, let's cost it. In the next 3 years that we implement this program, how would we narrow inequality? Let's ask ourselves, in the next 3 years that we are going to implement these measures, how many jobs can we create, especially from the private sector?
Okay.
Let's ask ourselves, let's cost it. In the next 3 years, by implementing these measures, how would we boast greater economic transformation and inclusive productivity growth? Let's cost it. In the next 3 years, let's ask ourselves, how would this improve health outcome? How would this improve quality of education? How would this get us closer to Ghana's dream?
Okay.
If we are able to assess that, because, you know, this is Washington, Ghana government agreeing on some objectives and goals for us. Let's also build national consensus around it. And then we come to the conclusion that, yes, we agree with some of the measures that are in the program, and of course, we can't disagree with all of them. But there are some of them which we think that if we implement them in the form that they are, the negative effect would outweigh the positive outcome.
All right,
and
Professor
therefore,
Bokping,
we are proposing this. The IMF itself will be amenable.
Professor Godfred Bokping, thank you very, very much for joining us. And also thank you very much, Mark Bedrabaji, for joining us. This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It does get better anytime your favorite shop, Melcom says